The night sky was a storm of dark, restless clouds. Rain lashed against the glass walls of St. Clair's Hospital, streaking the windows like silent tears. Inside the emergency room, the atmosphere crackled with urgency. Monitors beeped in a rapid, panicked rhythm as doctors shouted orders and nurses sprinted between trauma bays. At the heart of the chaos lay a young boy, barely 10, his fragile body fighting against time. His condition was critical: internal bleeding, a rare blood type, and no matching donors on hand. The hospital staff knew the odds. Without a transfusion, the boy wouldn't last the night. Isabelle Hart, the head nurse on call, stood at his bedside, her face a mask of professional calm, though her heart raced. She'd seen many desperate cases before, but something about this child's quiet courage clawed at her. Her fingers brushed the silver locket resting against her skin, a nervous habit she couldn't quite break. "Who's on the donor registry?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the storm raging in her chest. The night shift coordinator approached with a trembling tablet in hand. Only one viable match within a 50-mile radius. AB negative. Isabelle's eyes darted to the screen. Alexander Maddox. The name punched the air from her lungs. 6 years. 6 long, aching years, and there it was, bold as a headline, impossible to ignore. Memories came unbidden. A sun-drenched college campus. Laughter under oak trees. Midnight confessions and promises of forever. And then the betrayal. The lies. The heartache that changed her life. He didn't belong in her world anymore. Especially not here. But fate didn't care about the rules people tried to write for their lives. "We need him," the attending physician barked. "Call now." Miles away, in a sleek, glass-encased penthouse overlooking the city skyline, Alexander Maddox was a man buried in deadlines and dominance. The billionaire CEO of Maddox International didn't answer calls from unknown numbers. Tonight, though, as lightning split the sky and rain battered the windows, something made him glance at his vibrating phone. Unknown number. St. Clair's Hospital. A place he hadn't set foot in since the night his mother died. His jaw tightened. Old ghost stirred. He considered ignoring it, until the message appeared. Urgent. Child's life at risk. Immediate blood donor match required. Alex swore under his breath, loosening his tie. He had no reason to care. Hospitals made his skin crawl. He didn't owe anyone anything. And yet, he was already reaching for his coat. He had no idea that the emergency waiting for him wasn't the child. It was the woman he thought he'd buried in the past. As his car cut through rain-slicked streets, he told himself it was just a favor. Quick donation. Nothing more. But destiny had other plans. The hospital came into view, illuminated in harsh white light against the storm-dark sky. His pulse quickened, a knot of dread twisting in his gut. He would walk through those doors and face the past he'd spent years outrunning. And within those walls, the love he lost, and a secret that would shatter everything, waited for him. Before we dive deeper, have you ever experienced a moment when your past came crashing into your present? Let me know in the comments. The soft hum of monitors and distant footsteps filled the dimly lit halls of St. Clair's Hospital. Night had fallen, but for Isabelle Hart, the work never stopped. Dressed in her pale blue scrubs, her auburn hair tied loosely at the nape of her neck, Isabelle hurried from room to room, checking vitals and offering gentle words of comfort to frightened families. On the pediatric floor, her 5-year-old daughter, Emma, sat in the nurse's break room under the care of a colleague. Isabelle rarely left her at home at night, not since the fever episode a year ago. Emma's delicate health was a constant worry, and tonight, there was a sense of unease in the air that Isabelle couldn't shake. Downstairs in the hospital's emergency unit, the storm outside raged against the windows. A critically ill child had just been admitted with rare complications, his life hanging by a thread. The child's blood type was AB negative, an exceptionally rare match. The hospital's registry had yielded only one local donor, Alexander Maddox. When the emergency call went out, Alex was seated alone in his penthouse office at Maddox International, the city skyline a blur behind rain-drenched windows. He preferred the stillness of these late hours, where numbers were clean, problems had solutions, and memories stayed buried. His assistant's call pierced the silence. "Sir, St. Clair's needs you. It's a medical emergency. They need a blood donor immediately." A chill ran down his spine. Hospitals. He despised them. Ghosts of his past lingered in those sterile walls. It was where his mother had taken her final breath, where no amount of power or money could change fate. And yet something tugged at him. "Text me the address," he said, snapping his phone shut. "Would you have answered the call if it meant confronting your deepest fears? Comment below." 15 minutes later, Alex's black Bentley pulled up to the ER entrance. His driver barely had time to open the door before Alex stepped out, trench coat billowing in the wind. Nurses and doctors bustled past, but Alex's presence commanded attention. Inside, Isabelle received word that the donor had arrived. She hurried toward the emergency entrance, clipboard in hand, her heart pounding for reasons she couldn't explain. She hadn't heard his name, hadn't dared hope. But as she turned the corner, time seemed to stop. There he stood, tall, impeccably dressed in black, his sharp jawline set, deep blue eyes scanning the room with detached disinterest, until they landed on her. Isabelle. The name escaped his lips like a curse, disbelief written across his face. Isabelle's breath hitched. In that instant, years collapsed. The ache she'd buried so carefully clawed its way back, threatening to consume her. "Alex," she whispered, her voice barely audible. For a moment, the bustling hospital around them blurred. Two people, once inextricably bound, now strangers separated by 5 years of pain and silence. Isabelle struggled to regain her composure. "We need you in the donor room. It's urgent." Alex hesitated. His instincts screamed to leave, to turn away from this place, from the woman who'd once shattered him. But he saw something in her eyes. Exhaustion, fear, and a flicker of the girl he once knew. He followed without a word. In the donor room, Alex sat stiffly as the nurse prepared his arm. Isabelle avoided his gaze, focusing on the procedure, though her hands trembled slightly. The silence between them was deafening, punctuated only by the beep of machines and the storm outside. Finally he spoke. "I didn't know you worked here." "I've been here for 4 years, she replied quietly, adjusting the 4-line. "Life happens." The words hung between them, heavy with all the unsaid things. "Is it still the same? Blaming other people for your choices?" Alex's voice was cold, but Isabelle caught the bitterness lacing it. Her jaw clenched. "You don't know everything, Alex. You never did." Before he could reply, a nurse called Isabelle urgently. A child's condition was deteriorating. She rushed out, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts. On the pediatric floor, Emma stirred from her nap. Hearing the storm, she padded quietly toward the hallway, clutching her stuffed bear. Her soft blue eyes, eerily similar to Alex's, reflected curiosity and innocence. As Isabelle stabilized the young patient, her mind raced. Alex's sudden appearance had upended the fragile balance she'd fought to maintain. She knew the truth would surface. Emma's resemblance was undeniable. One look and Alex would start asking questions. And she wasn't ready. Not for the past. Not for the storm it would bring. Meanwhile, in the hallway, Alex finished donating and made his way toward the exit, but something tugged at him. A faint sound. A child's soft voice humming a lullaby he hadn't heard in years. He turned a corner. There, sitting by a window, was a little girl with coppery hair and unmistakable blue eyes. She looked up, and for a heartbeat the world shifted. The child's gaze met his wide and trusting. "Hi," she said cheerfully, hugging her bear. Alex's heart clenched. Something in her face, her eyes, ignited an ache he didn't understand. "What's your name, little one?" he asked, kneeling beside her. "Emma," she chirped. "My mommy's working." Alex's brow furrowed. "Emma." The name hit like a blow. His throat tightened as an irrational suspicion gnawed at the edges of his mind. Before he could ask more, Isabelle appeared at the end of the corridor, her face draining of color as she saw them together. "Emma!" she called sharply, rushing over. Emma grinned. "Mommy, I made a new friend." Isabelle scooped her up protectively, her eyes never leaving Alex's. A storm of emotions raged behind her gaze. Fear, regret, longing. Alex stood, his expression unreadable. "Is she yours?" he demanded, the words rough and unfiltered. Isabelle's lips parted, but no sound came. The silence spoke volumes. If you were in Isabelle's shoes, would you tell him the truth now? Or protect your secret? Let us know in the comments. The storm outside had turned the city into a curtain of shadows and flickering streetlights. Inside St. Clair's Hospital, the tension hung just as heavy. Alex stood frozen in the corridor, Emma's small, curious face etched into his mind like a brand. The undeniable mirror of his own eyes in hers clawed at the edges of his tightly controlled world. "She can't be mine," he whispered to himself, pacing the hallway, ignoring the curious glances from nurses and patients alike. The sheer possibility clawed at every defense he'd spent years fortifying. Isabelle in the break room, trembling as she clutched the silver locket around her neck. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped it. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "He knows," she whispered to herself. "Dear God, he knows." She barely registered Emily, her fellow nurse, slipping into the room. "Belle, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." Isabelle forced a shaky smile. "I think I just did." If you were in Isabelle's shoes, would you tell him the truth or protect your child at all costs? Comment your thoughts below. I'm dying to know what you'd do. Later that night, Alex stormed into his penthouse, yanking open drawers and rifling through old photo albums. There was a picture from college. Isabelle laughing, the same locket resting against her heart. And beside her, himself, happier than he could remember. "Why didn't you tell me?" he muttered through clenched teeth. The next morning, driven by an obsession he could no longer suppress, Alex launched an investigation. Discreetly. His trusted head of security, Marcus, was assigned to dig up everything about Isabelle Hart's life over the past 6 years. "And Marcus," Alex added, his voice low, cold, "find out if she has a daughter. And if there's any connection to me." Marcus hesitated. "Boss, are you sure you want to go down this road?" "I have to." Meanwhile, Isabelle dropped Emma off at school, her heart a knot of guilt. She felt the walls closing in, knowing fate had finally caught up to her. That evening, Alex returned to the hospital under the pretense of visiting a business associate in the private wing. But his real intention was clear: confront Isabelle. They found themselves alone in the dimly lit chapel. The silence between them felt like it stretched across the years. "Why didn't you tell me?" Alex's voice cracked. Isabelle stiffened, every muscle tight. "I owed you nothing after what you did. I did nothing but believe what I was shown." "Vanessa, you believed a liar over me." Isabelle's voice trembled. "And now you come here demanding answers. After abandoning me without even asking for the truth." Tears welled in her eyes, and for a long moment neither spoke. "Is Emma mine?" he finally asked. Isabelle's jaw clenched. "She's mine," she whispered. "And she doesn't need you." His heart shattered, because in her voice, he heard not hatred but a lifetime of hurt. "I need to know the truth, Isabelle. I can't live like this." But she turned away, leaving him alone in the chapel's flickering candlelight. Marcus uncovering damning evidence, forged letters, doctored photos, a disgruntled ex-staffer willing to confess Vanessa's plot for the right price. Marcus delivered the file to Alex at dawn. "It's all here. She was innocent, Alex. Vanessa framed her." The world tilted on its axis. Rage, guilt, and heartbreak twisted inside him. "I destroyed the only good thing I ever had." He buried his face in his hands. Emma in the hospital's garden, chasing butterflies. Alex knelt beside her. You like butterflies, huh? Emma grinned. They're brave. They start out small and scared, but one day they fly. Her words struck him like a lightning bolt. Your mom's really brave too, you know, he murmured, his voice tight. Emma smiled, picking a daisy and handing it to him. You're nice. I wish I had a dad like you. Alex's throat tightened. Maybe you do, he whispered, brushing a tear from his cheek as Emma ran off, blissfully unaware. Isabelle on her break, when Alex stormed into her office. I know everything now. Vanessa, the lies, the betrayal, I was a fool. She looked up, defensive. Good for you. Doesn't change anything. It changes everything, Isabelle. He dropped to his knees. I loved you. I never stopped. And now, I love her too. Tears slipped down Isabelle's face. You broke me, Alex. I'm still putting myself back together. He reached for her hand. Then let me help this time. I don't want to steal Emma. I just want to be a part of your lives. If you'll let me. Her walls cracked, but she shook her head. I can't. And before he could answer, a nurse burst in. There's an emergency in pediatrics. It's Emma. The world stopped. They rushed down the hall. Emma lay unconscious. A nasty head wound from a fall in the garden. The doctor barked orders. We need a rare blood match. Be negative. Isabelle sobbed. That's Alex's type. Without hesitation, Alex stepped forward. Take whatever you need. As the doctor prepped the transfusion, Isabelle collapsed into his arms. I can't lose her, she sobbed. You won't, he promised. Not while I'm breathing. The sterile scent of antiseptics filled the pediatric ICU as monitors beeped steadily, each sound a lifeline tethering Emma to this world. Isabelle sat beside her daughter's hospital bed, holding the tiny hand in both of hers, whispering prayers she hadn't dared utter in years. Alex stood on the other side of the bed, pale and still, the aftermath of the blood transfusion visible in the pallor of his skin but defiant in his posture. His gaze never left Emma's fragile form. Will she be okay? His voice cracked, a raw, stripped-down echo of the commanding tycoon he was known to be. Dr. Patel, the attending physician, offered a cautious smile. The transfusion went well. Now it's up to her. She's a fighter. Isabelle's tears spilled freely. She's all I have. Alex's jaw clenched. Not anymore. She's ours. The words hung between them, heavier than the storm clouds gathering outside. The hospital waiting room. Marcus approached Alex, phone in hand. I took care of everything. Vanessa's confession video is ready to go public. And legal's prepping charges. The board's being briefed. Alex shook his head. No, not yet. Marcus frowned. But she nearly ruined your life. Cost you your family. I don't care about revenge anymore, Alex said quietly. His eyes on Isabelle through the glass. I care about what I almost lost. Later that evening, as rain drummed against the hospital windows, Emma's eyelids fluttered open. Isabelle bolted upright. Emma. Baby. Mommy, the little girl rasped, her voice thin. Alex moved closer, his throat tight. Hey, kiddo. You scared us. Emma's gaze settled on Alex, a weak smile tugging at her lips. You stayed. Always, he whispered. Isabelle wiped her tears. We both did. Over the next several days, Emma recovered steadily. Alex was there every moment, reading stories, bringing flowers, sneaking in chocolate milk when the nurses weren't looking. Isabelle watched him with a guarded heart, each tender moment softening her defenses. Late one night, as Emma slept, Isabelle found Alex sitting alone in the chapel. I never stopped loving you, he confessed, his voice a whisper. Even when I hated you, I loved you. Tears filled her eyes. I loved you too. I just didn't know how to survive the wreckage you left behind. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I can be better. For you. For her. A month later, at a grand charity gala hosted by Maddox International, the room glittered with chandeliers and the elite of the city. Isabelle arrived in a simple, elegant gown. Her presence turning heads not because of her status, but the quiet grace she carried. Alex took the stage, the hum of conversation dimming. "Before we begin," he started, voice steady, "I need to address something personal. Years ago I made a mistake. I let pride and lies rob me of the greatest love I've ever known. Tonight I want to make it right." Gasps rippled through the room as he gestured to Isabelle and Emma, who now clutched his hand. "This is my family, my heart, my home." The crowd applauded, cameras flashing. Isabelle's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Alex stepped down, pulling a small box from his pocket. Not a gaudy diamond ring, but a delicate silver locket. "Do you remember this?" She nodded, heart in her throat. He opened it, revealing a photo of the three of them. "I want to spend every day earning my place in your life. Marry me, Isabelle. Not for appearances, not for legacy, for love." The room held its collective breath. Isabelle smiled through her tears, her voice steady. "Yes." The applause was thunderous, but neither of them noticed. In that moment it was just them. Final scene. The three of them walking through the hospital gardens, rain falling in gentle sheets. Emma laughed as Alex lifted her into his arms. Isabelle leaned into his side. "I finally found my way home," Alex whispered. And this time they walked forward together. The storm had finally broken. Outside the glass walls of Maddox International's grand ballroom, the night sky wept in soft, cleansing rain, a quiet witness to the healing unfolding within. Alex stood beneath the soft glow of the chandeliers, his hand tightly entwined with Isabelle's, while little Emma clung to his other side. The elite of New York society had gathered expecting another dazzling gala, but what they witnessed instead was a man choosing love over legacy, humility over pride, and a family over a facade. "My mother once told me," Alex's voice rang clear, steady, "that the heart remembers what the mind denies. I spent years convincing myself love wasn't meant for me, but it was. It was standing right in front of me, and I let lies steal it away." Isabelle's eyes glistened, her free hand cupping her locket, the same one he'd given her long ago, now joined by its matching twin, gifted to Emma. "I almost lost them both," Alex continued, his gaze sweeping the crowd and settling on his daughter. "But fate has a way of leading you home, even if you've forgotten the way." A soft collective sigh rippled through the room as the cold, ruthless billionaire bared his soul, and the hardened hearts of socialites felt the sting of truth. Alex knelt before Emma, his voice tender. "Emma, would you let me be your dad? Not just in name, but in every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every school recital. I want it all." Emma threw her arms around him with the unfiltered love only a child could offer. And in that simple, precious embrace, years of pain dissolved. Alex rose and turned to Isabelle. The world seemed to fall away. "I don't want a grand gesture, Belle. I don't want a perfect fairy tale. I want the messy, beautiful life we should have had. If you'll have me." Tears streamed freely now. Isabelle nodded, laughter and sobs tumbling together. "You were always my home, Alex." He drew her into a kiss, tender and aching, sealing promises words could never capture. As their little family stood reunited, the rain fell harder, washing away old wounds and baptizing a new beginning. Have you ever witnessed love strong enough to survive betrayal and time? Drop your answer in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale of heartbreak, hope, and healing here on Made of Love. True love isn't perfect, but it's resilient, surviving betrayal, time, and fear to find its way back home when hearts are finally ready.